A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark, Mark 5:21 through 43. When Jesus had crossed again in the boat to the other side, a large crowd gathered around him, and he stayed close to the sea. One of the synagogue officials, named Jairus, came forward. Seeing him, he fell at his feet and pleaded earnestly with him, saying, "My daughter is at the point of death. Please lay your hands on her that she may get well and live." He went off with him, and a crowd followed him. There was a woman afflicted with hemorrhages for 12 years. She had suffered greatly at the hands of many doctors and had spent all that she had. Yet she was not helped, and she grew worse. She had heard about Jesus and came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak. She said, "If I touch but his clothes, I shall be cured." Immediately her flow of blood dried up. She felt in her body that she was healed of her affliction. Jesus, aware that once that power had gone out from him, turned around to the crowd and said, "Who touches my clothes?" But his disciples said to him, "You see the crowd is pressing up against you, and yet you say, 'Who touches me?'" And he looked around to see who had done it. The woman, realizing what had happened to her, approached in fear and trembling. She fell down to Jesus and told him the whole truth. He said to her, "Daughter, your faith has saved you. Go in peace and be cured of your affliction." While he was still speaking, people from the synagogue official's house arrived and said, "Your daughter has died. Why trouble the teacher any longer?" Disregarding the message that was reported, Jesus said to the synagogue official, "Do not be afraid. Just have faith." He did not allow anyone to accompany him inside except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. When they arrived at the house of the synagogue official, he caught sight of the commotion, people weeping and wailing aloud. So he went in and said to them, "Why is this commotion and weeping? And the child is not dead, but asleep." And they ridiculed him. Then he put them all out. He took along the child's father and mother and those who were with him, and entered the room where the child was. He took the child by the hand and said to her, "Talitha Koum," which means, "Little girl, I say to you, arise." The girl, a child of 12, arose immediately and walked around. At, uh, at that, they were utterly astounded, and he gave them strict orders to tell no one and to give her something to eat. The Gospel of the Lord. So, such strong faith. Every time I read this passage from Mark, I so admire the strength of the faith of Jairus and the woman afflicted with hemorrhages. Reading this, you can sense they had no doubt that Jesus would be able to help them. They had no doubt in Jesus and loved him so deeply, and in turn, he performed miracles for each. There is a team-building exercise I have done in the past where one member of the team stands on a table with his or her back to the rest of the group. The rest of the group lines up facing one another with their arms stretched out, creating a platform for the one member of the group to fall back on. Arms crossed, the member standing on the table remains straight as a board and falls backward into the waiting arms of the teammates. The first time you do this, it is unnerving. You know the group will catch you, yet you are so nervous. What if I'm too heavy? What if I fall to one side or the other? What if they look away for just a second? Aren't we guilty of the same doubt when it comes to our trust in Jesus? In concept, we know we are to trust the Lord and never doubt. Yet time and again we do. We doubt he can or will help us in our time of need. The good news is he understands this. He knows his children are more often than not afraid to fall backwards into his loving arms. But we still must trust him. Ask him for help, for the courage to fully trust in him. Get on your knees and pray for his help, and it will come. He is there for you. May the peace of Christ be with you throughout today and every day.